I would challenge anyone who thinks we don't need the stadium to be out on that field when it's 115 and you're playing on turf in 115-degree weather. If there is any state that should have more dome stadiums, if there is any county that should have more dome stadiums than 0, it is definitely this one.
According to one of his former principals, Superintendent Jeremy Caius of the Tolleson Union High School District is obsessed with building a domed football stadium. Caius got voters' approval to borrow $80 million or more for an enclosed stadium in a recent election on school bonds. But his district's voters might not have known they were voting for a stadium. School districts across Maricopa County are asking voters to approve more borrowing and budget overrides in November. Is Jeremy Caius's borrowing binge a symptom of a larger problem with school district spending or just a one-off? The politics panel joins us now. Gael Esposito, Democratic consultant at Creosote Partners, and Matt Benson, Republican consultant at Verdis. Welcome, Gael, and welcome back, Matt, to Square Up. Good to see you both.
Good to be here.
Any disclosures of work relationships with any of the office holders, candidates, or issues we're going to discuss?
Nope.
Okay, good to hear that. Let's start with Tolleson Union. Jeremy Caius's district is now being audited by the state. Critics of school district spending and these bond elections argue that Caius is an example of unchecked borrowing that detracts from educating students. Matt, do you agree with those critics?
100%. $80 million for a domed football stadium at a time that Tolleson has 1 in 4 students who are proficient in math and ELA. I mean, it just shows a complete misalignment of priorities within that district.
Now, Caius's theory of the case, and I've heard him say this several times, is that he has to spend a lot of money on things like a stadium and run the district like a business in order to keep public schools, his public school district, competitive with charter and private schools. Is that an argument that you think works or
I think
not?
that's up to the voters, but I think that this isn't symptomatic of a larger problem in school districts. When we're looking at these bonds and overrides, they're normally to help fix school buildings that are crumbling and haven't received resources from the state. That's what you normally see in a regular school district. This stadium is more like something you'd see in Texas or other southern states that spend a lot on high school football. So I don't really understand this, but once again, voters are the ones who get to decide if that's a priority they want for their school district.
But what's interesting in this case is it wasn't clear that voters ever decided we want a football stadium because the bond language is very broad. And I don't know if is that the case generally when you're going to voters to ask for borrowing, you keep it kind of broad?
No, that's not the case. And it's a huge problem for districts going forward because this is going to be pointed to. In every district where there's an opposition to a local school bond, they're going to point to this and say, look, this could be another, what are they going to really spend this money on? You think it's going to go for school repairs or AC or other critical upgrades, but maybe they're going to use it to build some boondoggle domed stadium.
Interesting point, because I mean, since the Great Recession, school districts have had to go more and more to the voters. That kind of was a product of the legislature during the Great Recession. Is that a real concern?
I think normally you see school districts be very specific with what these bonds are going to be used for. They normally delineate how they're going to spend each of these resources. And so once again, this kind of general approval is not something that we've seen from school districts out there. So hopefully we continue to see the vast majority of school districts operate in a way that's really clear and transparent with voters, and they get what they want.
Yeah, memo to voters, read the bond pamphlets you get delivered to your home that tell you exactly what you're voting for, because you can get them. They come to your door with the ballot. Let's move on. Politics now. Next up, CD1. Republican Party Chair Gina Swoboda was to have held a fundraiser this past week for a run for Congress. We have not, as we speak, seen any confirmation announcement yet that she is running for Congress. That may come out in the next day or so. Conventional wisdom is that a lot of Republicans are going to pile into this open seat. David Schweikert, 8-term congressman running for governor. Is that conventional wisdom right when you need Donald Trump's endorsement to win a Republican primary? Might candidates just be waiting around?
Well, I think the question is whether President Trump is going to get into this race early. And in every likelihood, he's going to wait and let things settle out a bit. Now, it's possible that a high-profile candidate jumps into that race and he decides to give them an endorsement right out of the gate. Because what Republicans want to avoid most, and that is my district, is a deeply contested primary that gives Democrats a leg up in November.
And that could very well happen in this district in particular.
It's possible. I am doubtful.
So you think there's going to be a slow walk to the field forming?
There are more than 63,000 more registered Republicans in that district than Democrats. And Republicans have netted 15,000 voters since 2022. So that district has become more and more of a reach for Democrats than it was even a couple cycles ago.
All right, let's turn to your side of the aisle, Gael. Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs formally announced she's running for a second term. No surprise there. Who is Hobbs rooting for to win the Republican primary in 2026?
I think she's got to be happy with the entire field, right? This is not a field of the best candidates Republicans could offer. You have a crazy congressman in Andy Biggs, you have a scandal-plagued one in David Schweikert, and then you have a developer and lobbyist in Karen Taylor Robson. Katie Hobbs is breaking fundraising records. She has a record of success. I think she's going to be really happy with the position she's sitting in.
You think it's win-win-win no matter who takes that election?
I feel pretty good right now.
Matt?
I mean, look, I understand you have to say that, but Democrats in the quiet moments will tell you that they do not want to face Karen Taylor Robson. They were relieved they didn't have to face her 4 years ago, and they desperately don't want to face her this time around. So they're hoping the nominee is Andy Biggs. He comes with a carload of baggage. And you know, Governor Hobbs, I tell Republicans, don't take this for granted. She is more formidable than you think.
And incumbents do have a built-in advantage, recent Arizona history shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think incumbents always have an advantage in these kinds of races. And also, you know, I'm not worried about Karen Taylor Robson. You know, she's someone who is a mining lobbyist, utility lobbyist. She's a big developer. That's not a record that voters normally look for in a candidate. So I think that Katie Hobbs can best any of these candidates in the race.
Okay, we got to end it there. Gael Esposito, Matt Benson, thanks so much for joining us. And that's our show for this week. Thanks very much to all of our guests, and thank you so much for joining us.